Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Somil Bansali and I am a chartered accountant by profession. So in this video, we will study the GST implication on freight forwarder and the exporter of goods. Then we will analyze the impact of withdrawal of exemption which was available to the freight forwarder. We will also look at the place of supply provisions relating to the freight forwarder and the changes proposed in those provisions by Finance Act 2023. Lastly, we will look at the impact of these changes on refund available to the exporter of goods. In this video, I will be interchangeably using the words transporter and the freight forwarder. So before getting into this discussion, let us understand the flow of the transaction. Say Mr. X wants to supply goods to Mr. Y, and as per the contract, Mr. X is required to arrange for transportation facility. Mr. X approaches ABC Limited to transport goods from his location to location of Mr. Y. So in this example, there are two parts. In part 1, ABC Limited is providing transportation services to Mr. X. And in part 2, Mr. X is supplying goods to Mr. Y. So let us understand part 1 in little detail. In part 1, ABC Limited is the supplier of transportation services and Mr. X is the recipient of transportation services. Mr. X will pay consideration to ABC Limited for the transportation services received. In part 2, Mr. X is supplying goods to Mr. Y. Mr. X is also arranging for the transportation facility. So Mr. X is the supplier of goods and Mr. Y is the recipient of goods. Mr. Y will pay consideration to Mr. X for supply of goods as well as the receipt of transportation services. So keeping this example in mind, let us understand the GST implication on this transaction. As of now, we will focus on the first part of our example where ABC Limited is providing services to Mr. X. So first, we will look at the exemption which is available to the freight forwarder or the transporter. As per the exemption notification, where the transporter provides transportation of goods from a place in India to a place outside India by aircraft or vessel, then in such case, that transporter is exempt from payment of GST. The important point to notice, this exemption was available only up to 30th September 2022. So from 1st October 2022, if the transporter provides transportation of goods by aircraft or by vessel from a place in India to a place outside India, then that transporter is liable to pay GST. So in our example, let us assume Mr. X is located in India and Mr. Y is located outside India. And in that case, ABC Limited is providing transportation services to Mr. X for supplying goods from a place in India to a location of Mr. Y which is outside India. So ABC Limited, while raising invoice on Mr. X, will collect value of transportation services as well as GST on that transportation services. Now let us understand what will happen if ABC Limited is providing transportation services by road. So in our example, let us assume Mr. X and Mr. Y both are located in India and ABC Limited is providing transportation services to Mr. X by road. As per the exemption notification, if goods are transported by road, then in that case that transaction is exempt from payment of tax. This exemption is not withdrawn and it is available to the transporter. But if the transporter is classified as goods transport agency, then in that case transportation of goods by road is taxable. And where the supplies are made by goods transport agency, the tax is payable under forward charge by the goods transport agency or under reverse charge by the recipient of transportation services. Now let's look at the place of supply provision relating to the transportation services. To determine the place of supply, we need the location of supplier and the location of recipient. Where the location of supplier and location of recipient are in India, then in such case, place of supply will be determined as per section 12(8) of the IGST Act. So, as per section 12(8), if transportation services are provided to the registered recipient, then in such case, place of supply is the location of that registered recipient. But if the transportation services are provided to the unregistered recipient, then in such case, place of supply is the place where goods are handed over to the transporter for delivery. But where either the location of supplier or the location of recipient is outside India, then place of supply will be determined as per section 13(9) of the IGST Act. And as per section 13(9), the place of supply will be the location of destination of goods. As I mentioned earlier, certain changes are proposed in these provisions via Finance Act 2023. So let us understand the current provision as well as the proposed changes with the help of few scenarios. So as we all know, when the location of supplier and place of supply is in same state, then the transaction will be treated as intra-state supply and the supplier will be liable to pay CGST and SGST. But where the location of supplier and place of supply are in two different states, then in such case the transaction will be treated as interstate supply and the supplier will be liable to pay IGST. So in scenario 1, the location of supplier is Maharashtra. The place of supply is also Maharashtra because the recipient is registered. So as per the current provision of section 12(8), the supplier is liable to pay CGST and SGST. Further, no change is proposed for this scenario in Finance Act 2023. In scenario 2, location of supplier is Maharashtra, place of supply is Gujarat because the recipient is registered, and as per the current provision, the supplier is liable to pay IGST since the transaction is an interstate supply. Further, no change is proposed for this scenario. Scenario 3, location of supplier Maharashtra. The place of supply is also Maharashtra because the recipient is unregistered and that recipient has handed over goods in Maharashtra. So in this transaction, the supplier is liable to pay CGST and SGST since transaction is an intra-state supply. Further, no change is proposed for this scenario in Finance Act 2023. Now let us look at scenario 4. In scenario 4, location of supplier is Maharashtra, location of recipient is also Maharashtra, but the goods are transported to USA. Now I will discuss a proviso to section 12(8) which states that when the goods are exported outside India, in that case the place of supply shall be the destination of goods. So the location of supplier is Maharashtra, place of supply will be USA and not Maharashtra. Accordingly, the supplier is liable to pay IGST. The Finance Act 2023 has proposed to delete the proviso to section 12(8). So in that case, the supplier has to determine whether the recipient is registered or unregistered. In our example, recipient is registered. So as per the proposed provision, the supplier will be liable to pay CGST and SGST since the location of supplier and the location of recipient are in same state. Now let us look at scenario 5. In scenario 5, location of supplier is USA. Place of supply will also be USA since the place of supply will be determined under section 13(9) which states that place of supply is destination of goods. Since location of supply and place of supply are outside India, no tax is required to be paid in India. Now the Finance Act 2023 has proposed to delete this provision. So the supplier has to determine the place of supply under section 13.2. And as per section 13.2, the place of supply is the location of the recipient. So here the location of supply is USA. Location of recipient is Gujarat. And as per the proposed change, the place of supply will be India because location of recipient is India. Accordingly, the recipient will be liable to pay IGST under reverse charge mechanism. Now, let us understand the implication in the hands of the supplier of goods. This is the second part of our example where Mr. X is supplying goods to Mr. Y. Section 15 of the CGST Act provides manner of computing value of supply of goods where those goods are supplied in India or outside India. When I say value, this value does not include the GST component. In fact, GST is charged on the value determined under Section 15 of the CGST Act. Section 15 states that value of supply will include value of goods as well as other charges which are recovered by supplier from the recipient. So basis Section 15, value of supply will not only include value of goods but it will also include transportation charges because these charges are recovered by supplier from the recipient of goods. Now the question is what rate the supplier should charge in a tax invoice whether tax invoice contains value of goods as well as value of transportation charges. For this, we need to look at the concept of composite supply available under the GST law. As per this concept, if the supplier provides two or more taxable supply in a single transaction and out of their multiple supplies, one of the supply is main supply while other supplies are incidental supply, then the transaction will be treated as composite supply. And in case of a composite supply, the rate applicable to the main supply will be charged to the entire value of supply. In our example, Mr. X is providing two supplies to Mr. Y. First supply is supply of goods and second supply is supply of transportation services. And since supply of goods is the main supply, the rate applicable on the goods will be applied on the entire value of supply. I have seen that supplier of goods, especially the exporter of goods, are not charging GST on the freight component. In my view, the exporter or rather the supplier of goods was always required to charge GST on the freight amount. Now let us look at how to report this transaction in our GST return. So in case of a domestic supplies, which means the goods supplied within India, these transactions will be reported in table 4, 5 or 7 of GSTR 1 depending on whether the recipient is registered or unregistered. And the export transaction will be reported in table 6 of GSTR 1. In table 6, the details of shipping bill are also required to be submitted. Shipping bill is filed in case of export of goods. And while filing shipping bill, the exporter is required to give the FOB value, which means the value of goods and value of transportation charges separately. Now in GSTR 3B, the domestic transaction will be reported in table 3.1A and the export transaction will be reported in table 3.1B. Now in case of the exporter of goods, the exporter has the option to export goods either with payment of tax or without payment of tax. And under both these options, the exporter is eligible to claim refund. So now let us look at the refund available to the exporter when he exports goods with payment of tax. So say he purchased goods for rupees 1 lakh. He pays GST at the rate of 18%, which is 18,000 rupees. He avails transportation services for export of goods. The cost of transportation is 20,000. He pays GST at the rate of 18% on 20,000 rupees, which is rupees 3600. Now he will sell this goods for say 1,20,000. He recovers freight from the receiver of goods. So total sale value is 1,40,000. He is required to pay GST say at the rate of 18% on rupees 1,40,000. So the GST amount payable is 25,200 rupees. So while filing GSTR 3B, he is liable to pay 25,200. He has already paid 18,000 at the time of purchase of goods and rupees 3,600 at the time of availing transportation services. So his net amount which is payable in GSTR 3B is rupees 3,600. Now let us calculate the refund available to the exporter. So as I mentioned earlier, the exporter is required to file shipping bill, and while filing shipping bill is required to report FOB value, that is the value of goods, separately. The custom authority calculates refund only on this FOB value. So under customs, refund is not provided on the freight amount. So here the refund amount would be 18% of 1,20,000, which is rupees 21,600. So the total tax paid by the exporter is rupees 25,200, but he receives only 21,600 as a refund. So here the cost to the exporter is rupees 3,600. Now let us look at the refund available under the another option, where he exports goods without payment of tax under the cover of LUT. So here the department has prescribed a formula to calculate the refund amount. In this formula, net ITC availed for the period is multiplied by the turnover of export of goods, and that amount is divided by the adjusted total turnover. The formula clearly states that the value of export of goods shall be the FOB value, whereas the adjusted total turnover will include the total taxable value, which means it will include the value of goods as well as the value of transportation charges. So refund as per this formula is 18,783 rupees, whereas the exporter has paid tax of rupees 21,600 at the time of purchase. So in this option, the cost to the exporter is rupees 2,817 rupees. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel for future updates.